Imagine this, you wake up tomorrow, and the world feels different. Your phone won't turn on. Your car just sits there silent, and the entire power grid is gone. This isn't a temporary blackout. No, this is something far more terrifying. It's an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, an invisible flash that kills almost every piece of modern technology in a split second. Life as you know it ends before you even finish your first yawn. Now most people would panic. And honestly, who wouldn't? But here's the surprising truth. Hidden inside your very own home are simple cheap items, many costing under $20 that could suddenly become priceless. These everyday tools could mean the difference between struggling to survive or actually thriving when everything else fails. And today, I'm going to reveal 11 household items that laugh in the face of an EMP, things so ordinary that people overlook them every day, yet so powerful they can keep you alive when the lights never come back on. So let's dive in. Item number 1. Manual kitchen tools. Think about it. Your fancy electric can opener, blender, coffee machine, even your microwave, all instantly useless. But an $8 manual can opener, that little piece of metal could decide whether you eat or starve when grocery stores are closed for good. A sharp $15 kitchen knife can do the work of a dozen electric gadgets. It chops, slices, dices, and never runs out of power. Pair it with a $12 cutting board, and you've got a food prep station that rivals any modern kitchen. And here's something most people forget. During Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, thousands of families survived for months, using nothing but manual kitchen tools. While others waited desperately for power that didn't return for nearly a year, they were cooking full meals, staying nourished, and keeping their families strong, all thanks to simple hand-powered tools. Don't underestimate the basics. A $6 whisk beats eggs and mixes batter as well as any electric mixer. A thrift store hand-crank egg beater for $5 can whip cream or stir heavy dough without complaint. Wooden spoons and spatulas? They don't melt, don't need batteries, and last for decades. A mortar and pestle, $15 to $20, can crush spices, grind herbs, and create pastes that even your electric food processor struggles to make. And there's more. Hand-crank coffee grinders produce richer, smoother coffee because they don't burn the beans with heat like electric ones. Manual pasta makers give you fresh noodles that taste better than anything store-bought. Hand-operated meat grinders let you safely process meat while controlling every movement yourself. But beyond just food, these tools give something even more important: hope. Picture this: outside chaos reigns. People are scared, hungry, and desperate. But inside your home, the smell of hot food fills the air. Your family is gathered around the table, eating together, smiling for the first time in days. In a world gone silent, that small piece of normal life is priceless. Now, item number 2. Fire. Fire isn't just a tool, it's survival itself. It cooks your food, keeps you warm, gives you light, purifies water, and even protects you from pests. But here's the frightening reality: most people today have no clue how to start a fire without flicking a switch or turning a knob. When the grid goes down, knowing how to make fire instantly separates the prepared from the desperate. This is where Strike Anywhere matches come in. Unlike regular matches, these can ignite on almost any rough surface: rocks, concrete, even metal. A $3 box can give you 300 to 400 fires. That's hundreds of meals, hundreds of nights of warmth, all for less than the price of a coffee. Waterproof matches, magnesium fire starters, fire cubes made of sawdust and wax. These tools will keep you going even in rain, wind, or freezing cold. Picture this scenario. It's day 3 after the EMP. The temperature has dropped to 35 degrees. It's been raining for 18 hours. Your neighbors are shivering in the dark, burning scraps of furniture to stay alive. But you? You walk outside with waterproof matches, a couple of fire cubes, and some tinder you prepared months ago. Within 20 minutes, you've got a roaring fire and hot soup bubbling over the flames. Your family huddles close, warm, safe, and fed, while others cling to the hope that someone will rescue them. That's the difference between waiting and taking control of your future. And here's the part most people skip. Fire making is not something you can just figure out when disaster strikes. You need to practice it. Having the tools is one thing, but having the skill, that's what keeps you alive when everything else has failed. Let me ask you something important. Could you start a fire with wet wood? Could you do it in the pouring rain, or with freezing hands trembling from stress? If the answer is no, then having fire starting gear isn't enough. Tools alone won't save you. Practice is what makes the difference between freezing in the dark and sitting beside a warm, life-saving fire. Now let's move to item number 3, hand crank emergency radios. If fire gives you warmth, radios give you something just as vital, information. And in a world without phones, internet, or TV, information becomes more valuable than food. Without it, you're walking blind in a dangerous, unpredictable world. Here's the reality. Most cell towers have backup power that lasts just 8 to 24 hours. After that, silence. No texts. No calls. No warnings. But a hand crank emergency radio, costing just $25 to $35, never runs out of power, because it runs on human energy. Crank it for a few minutes, and suddenly you're tapped into the one source of reliable information left. And that information could save your life. Think about it. After an EMP, what would you want to know? Are authorities setting up safe zones? Should you stay put or evacuate? Are food and water being distributed nearby? Which areas are dangerous and should be avoided? Without answers, every move you make becomes a deadly gamble. We've seen this in real life. During Hurricane Ian in 2022, entire communities in Florida lost cell service for weeks. But local radio stations kept broadcasting updates, road closures, food distribution sites, rescue operations, even weather alerts. Families with working radios stayed informed and made smart choices, while those without were left stumbling in the dark, making mistakes that cost lives. And modern emergency radios aren't just radios anymore. Many include AM cell FM reception, NOAA weather alerts, built-in flashlights, emergency sirens, and even USB ports to charge small devices. For around $30 you get a survival tool that solves multiple problems and works indefinitely as long as you have the strength to turn a crank. But there's another side to communication most people overlook: two-way radios. Basic walkie-talkies without digital components can survive an EMP if stored properly, and they let families stay connected even when cell networks collapse. For $20 to $40, you can get a pair of FRS radios with a range of 2 to 5 miles, enough to coordinate with family, neighbors, or other survivors. That's not just convenience, it's survival. Groups who can communicate stay organized, share resources, and defend themselves. Those left isolated? They struggle. Speaking of survival, there are detailed EMP preparation strategies that go far beyond just household items, covering everything from protecting electronics to building long-term community resilience. I'll circle back to that later, but let's keep moving for now. Item number 4, mechanical water filters and manual pumps. Remember this rule of survival: you can last 3 weeks without food, but only 3 days without water. And here's the chilling fact: after an EMP, most municipal water systems fail almost instantly. Why? Because everything pumps, monitors, treatment plants, depends on electricity and computers. The EPA estimates that over 90% of U.S. water treatment facilities would shut down within hours of a large-scale EMP. Imagine millions of people suddenly without clean drinking water. But the solution is surprisingly simple. Gravity-fed water filters, like ceramic candle systems, work without a single wire or battery. Costing just $35 to $60, they can remove 99.99% of bacteria, viruses, heavy metals, and chemicals. Just pour dirty water into the top, and clean, safe drinking water flows out the bottom. These filters aren't primitive. Relief agencies use the same technology in war zones, refugee camps, and disaster areas all over the world. If they can keep thousands alive in crisis zones, they can keep your family alive during an EMP. And that brings us to item number 5, candles, oil lamps, and manual lighting systems. Light isn't just about seeing, it's about safety, comfort, and sanity. Darkness eats away at people. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the average American household only loses power for about 6 hours per year. Most people have never experienced more than a single night in complete darkness. So when the grid stays down for days or weeks, the psychological toll is devastating. People start breaking mentally long before they break physically. But here's the good news: for just a few dollars, you can push back that darkness. Emergency candles burn for more than 100 hours and cost only $4 to $6 each. Oil lamps with adjustable wicks cost $15 to $25 and give you steady, reliable light. Stock up on extra lamp oil for $8 to $10 a quart, and you've bought yourself weeks of light. And if you want something brighter, hand crank LED lanterns are incredible. Store them in a Faraday cage to shield them from an EMP, and you'll have a powerful, rechargeable light source that works indefinitely. A good one costs around $20 to $35. But here's where most people slip up. It's not just about having light, it's about how you use it. In a post-EMP world, if your house is the only one glowing at night, guess what? You just painted a target on your back. Desperate people will see your light and assume you have supplies. And that brings us to the critical concept of light discipline. Prepared survivors know a secret: light doesn't just mean visibility, it means safety. But here's the catch. If your home glows like a beacon in a city drowned in darkness, you're not just showing comfort, you're showing everyone that you have supplies. That's why the smart ones practice what's called light discipline. Imagine blackout curtains pulled tight, keeping your home invisible to outsiders. Inside, you use light-colored walls that reflect even the dimmest glow, making a single candle enough to brighten a room. Strategic placement of lanterns and lamps gives you the comfort of light inside, without advertising it to the entire neighborhood. That balance, keeping your family safe while still giving them hope, is what separates the prepared from the vulnerable. And don't overlook the power of variety. Candles give off soft, ambient light and even a little warmth. Oil lamps let you adjust brightness for different tasks. Hand-crank LED lanterns throw sharp, focused beams perfect for reading, cooking, or making repairs. Each type of light has its role. Together they create a system that not only keeps you functioning, but keeps you sane. Because here's the truth: light equals hope. Families with light don't just see better, they think clearer, stay calmer, and keep routines going. Children feel safer, the elderly are less anxious, and everyone holds on to a sense of normal life in a world that has none. That psychological stability could be as vital as food or water when survival stretches from days into weeks. Light lets you cook without mistakes, repair equipment, read instructions, continue education for your kids, and guard your home more effectively. In a dark world, light extends your hours of safety and productivity. Now let's move to item number 6, manual tools and hardware. When society gets thrown back a century in the blink of an eye, your toolset suddenly becomes more valuable than money itself. Forget your electric drills, saws, or battery-powered gadgets. They're just expensive paperweights now. What matters are the classics: hammers, wrenches, saws, screwdrivers, and the skill to use them. And here's a shocking fact. Surveys show that over 60% of U.S. adults under 45 have never used a manual saw or even tightened a bolt with a wrench. FEMA has been warning for years that self-reliant skills are dying out in modern society. We aren't just digitally dependent, we've become mechanically helpless. Now imagine it's day 5 after the EMP. A pipe bursts in your basement. Water is flooding in fast. No plumber is coming, and there's no internet tutorial to save you. Your neighbors? They're helplessly watching their homes rot from the inside. But you? You grab a wrench and a saw, make a quick repair, and stop the problem before it destroys your house. That's the power of being prepared with tools and the knowledge to use them. And here's the best part: you don't need thousands of dollars to build a solid toolkit. For under $130, you can collect the essentials: a claw hammer, adjustable wrenches, a handsaw, screwdrivers, pliers, a crowbar, a hand drill with bits, a level, and a measuring tape. Tools that, if cared for, can last decades and solve hundreds of problems. Add in some advanced manual tools, like a hand-operated drill press, a draw knife, or tin snips, and suddenly you can build, repair, and even fabricate solutions others wouldn't dream of. But here's the warning: tools are useless without skills. Can you cut a straight line with a handsaw? Can you drive a nail cleanly? Can you measure, cut, and fit pieces that actually work together? Those aren't instant skills, they take practice, and the time to practice is before disaster strikes, not after. And make no mistake, the person with tools and skills after an EMP won't just survive, they'll be in demand. In long-term grid-down situations, the builder, the fixer, the problem solver becomes the backbone of the community. When everyone else is stuck waiting for services that will never come back, you'll be the one turning chaos into order. That's real power. Here's something else to keep in mind: as more people wake up to these risks, basic hand tools are disappearing from store shelves. Rural hardware stores across the U.S. have already reported shortages since late 2023. Prices are climbing, supplies are shrinking. Getting your manual toolkit now, while they're still affordable, is strategic thinking. Which brings us to item number 7, bicycles and human-powered transportation. The EMP Commission estimates that as many as 90% of vehicles on American roads could die instantly in a major strike.